Well, I was getting a bit anxious to find out how my potatoes were growing in my potato grow bag. I popped some little sprouting potatoes in my grow bag, probably I guess in early spring, and I planted some rose fin apple fingerling potatoes, and they were just beautiful. And I also had some sprouting russet potatoes in my pantry by accident, so I thought I'd give those a try too, and I threw them in the bag as well. And so I have some baby russet potatoes. So I headed on up to my square foot garden to see how the beets were doing, and I noticed they were just forming beautifully. This is just the perfect size, I think, to make a nice little potato and beet salad. I'm growing 3 different colors, so it'll be a nice and colorful salad too. I also had a lot of sugar snap peas left over from my last harvest. I had harvested those about a week earlier. And then I headed on out to my herb container garden where I grabbed some tarragon. I also got some chives along with a scallion. You can use a lot of different type of herbs in this salad, such as parsley and dill too. That will be just wonderful. And so here are the ingredients that I am using, and you are welcome to print these out. They'll be below my video if you'd like to check it out. So I started by removing the greens to the beets, and they were nice and tender. It's always good to freeze your produce immediately after harvest so that you can preserve a lot of that nutrition. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to use those greens right away, so I just pureed them with a little splash of water in a blender, and into the freezer they went. They'll be perfect for soups or smoothies later. And then in just a little bit of water with some vinegar, I went ahead and gave the potatoes and the beets a nice scrub with a little toothbrush. And then I went ahead and removed the rest of the tops of the beets, and I dried them real well. And then into a little tin foil pouch, I drizzled them with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit more salt, and popped them in the oven at around 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 to 50 minutes. I made sure to separate the smaller potatoes and beets from the larger ones because obviously the smaller ones are going to cook quicker. So I removed those a little bit earlier. And of course I went ahead and trimmed up the sugar snap peas, and I wanted to go ahead and start on the dressings. So I like to make my own mayonnaise, and I saw this neat little gadget on a cooking show on TV, and it's a little yolk separator. It's a little fish, and it'll just suck the yolk right up, and so it worked really nice. I found that it worked better if I used 2 hands. So that's kind of a fun little thing to do, especially if you have kids around. You can let them do that. I'll leave a link below the video if you'd like to check it out. It's on Amazon. And so I went ahead and made my mayonnaise. I'll leave a link to how I like to do that if you've missed it in the past. And I added a little garlic, a little mustard, a little sugar, a little salt, some cayenne pepper. And then I like to use safflower oil, and I used my whisk attachment to my little 4-in-1 appliance. So it came together real nice, and I just popped it into a jar. I won't use all of this for the dressing, of course, but I'll just need about a half a cup later. So my beets were ready, and I let those cool off just a little bit and then scrub the skin right off. I left the skin on the fingerling potatoes, of course, because it's so thin, but those russet potatoes, the skin really needed to come off, and of course on the beets as well. And then I just cut everything into bite-sized pieces, quartered them, and halved the smaller potatoes. And I'm going to cook these one more time just to kind of crisp them up a little bit. So I drizzled them a little bit more with olive oil and some salt and some pepper. And I popped them under my broiler for about, I guess it was about 5 minutes, just until the edges get kind of crispy. I thought that would be nice in the potato salad to have a little bit of texture in there too. So it probably took, I guess, like about 5 minutes or so. And while those were broiling, I went ahead and popped my sugar snap peas in some boiling water and quickly cooled them off in some ice water so it would stop the cooking process. I didn't want my beans to be, soft or mushy, so I quickly cooked those. And then the beets were ready, so into my little casserole dish they went. And then I dried my peas real well, so that the salad dressing will stick to it, and then gave them a quick chop, and into the salad they went. And a real nice substitute for this would be green beans as well. And I just needed a little bit of scallion. Add the scallion to your taste. You can add more or less. And then I just chopped up my fresh herbs, and now it's time to make the dressing. So in goes the mayonnaise along with the sour cream, a little bit of mustard, a splash of the white balsamic vinegar, and then a little pinch of salt. And I tasted it to make sure it was seasoned well, and it was perfect. So in go the fresh herbs, and we'll give it a quick stir, and now it's ready. My vegetables are nice and cool, so I went ahead and added my dressing. Now I like it best served right now at room temperature right after it's dressed. It's just wonderful. But if you want to make it ahead and serve it later, just go ahead and put it in the refrigerator, but bring it up to almost room temperature before you serve it. And then I put a little bit of nasturtium petals right there on top to give it a little more color, and it was just delicious. I love the sweetness of all of the colors of the beets, and then the different flavors of the potatoes, and the peas had that nice crunch to them still. It was just wonderful. And of course, feel free to substitute many different herbs in here, such as parsley and dill. Those would be wonderful too. And so if you want some more ideas for recipes, feel free to head on over to my channel, where I have a playlist section with a lot more ideas. And make sure that you click that little bell off to the right of the subscribed button, and you'll receive all notifications for my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a beautiful day.